Greetings and welcome to the latest Analog Allies podcast, episode 12. I'm your host, RGT85, joined as always by Brett. Brett, how are we doing?
Doing pretty good. Extremely tired, though, so I need to do something to wake up.
Yeah, I know the feeling. I have to wake up early and do blood work tomorrow, and I hate doing that. So, it is what it is. The perks of, I guess, getting old and
Slowly dying.
slowly dying. I don't know. I've fastly died a few times in my life, but somehow I'm still here. What's up to everyone in the chat? Hope you're all doing well. What's up, Vegeta and Brian, channel members? Hope you guys are doing good tonight. As always, after the main show, we will be live with the after show. The link is posted in the post section of the YouTube page. Yeah, it's your boy wants to hear. Have they come to spill my blood? Have they come to sentence me? Will I live here with my love, my Lord, when the lawman capture me? I love that song. Lord infamous,
Jesus.
the futuristic, rowdy, bounty hunter.
The audio listeners are going to be so confused why you just randomly started singing that.
Friend, I come from the land down under. Interesting week. I can't say the other words. I gotta say friend. Interesting week for Nintendo. Interesting week for Xbox, and I guess by extension, an interesting week for Sony, because they made a big announcement today. What do you want to talk about first? You can pick first. I don't care.
We might as well just talk about the good old Xbox showcase coming, the not E3 showcase.
The not E3 showcase. Now, I didn't really pay too much attention to this because it's for Jude. So talk to me about this. What do they got cooking?
Well, we know it's just going to be a general showcase like they typically do, but instead of Call of Duty this year, like they did last year, they're doing The Outer Worlds 2, which is set to come out later this year. So that's pretty exciting for me. Did you like The Outer Worlds 1?
I did. I actually played it and beat it on the Switch of all things.
Oh my god, dude. The worst version. That
Yeah.
needs a Switch 2 update. For the love of God.
Yeah, Microsoft will charge you for that. I enjoyed The Outer Worlds. I thought it was fun. Not a great game, but I would say a really good game.
I thought it was great, just not amazing.
I mean, it could have been a little bit better. They could have tightened it up a little bit, but
I just love that you could kill any character and the game would adapt to anyone you killed.
Yeah, that was
Pretty rare.
That was very satisfying, because a game like Avowed, I wanted to kill a lot of the NPCs and I couldn't. Like
None to be exact.
Yeah, like that kind of bothered. Like, I remember I walked into one area and some bitch was like holding a congregation and like talking shit about me and like my people, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna smoke this bitch. And then I couldn't, and I was like, oh, so now I have to listen to you slander me, and I could politely ask you to stop. Like, I don't know. It's hard to get excited about an Xbox showcase for me, though.
But why, Sean? You're just mad because they don't make exclusives anymore, but they're still the biggest publisher in the world. They're going to have some great games regardless.
Yes, that's exactly why. Because I own an Xbox. I bought an Xbox on day one.
But don't you have Game Pass? It's still exciting for Game Pass users.
It loses its luster. I really think it loses its luster when you're like, because you're watching the show and you're like, oh, well, this is probably coming to my platform of choice. And I feel like it loses a little bit of its flair with that. Like, would you want to watch a PlayStation showcase where all of the games are going to other platforms? Would you want to watch?
You mean the last one they had? Besides Days Gone, every other game was like multi-platform.
Well, that doesn't count because they don't know how to do presentations. Would you like to watch a Nintendo presentation and just see a bunch of games about like fucking Mario, and you're like, oh wow, this is so cool, I can't wait to buy a new system, I'll wait. It's coming out on another platform.
I mean, I'm with you when it comes to Xbox. I feel like they're making a huge mistake with this whole new plan that they got at the worst time possible, right? Whenever PlayStation really doesn't have much lined up, and they're just going to feed PlayStation all these games, and they're going to benefit. They're going to benefit from it in the short term, but in the long term, Xbox is going to lose its identity. And that's the biggest problem with this.
Going to or has?
I mean, they're starting to. I think that's clear, and that with their hardware plans, they just keep talking about how it's going to be the biggest generational leap. It's like, is it though, or is Xbox hardware going to be dead by the time that even happens?
Yeah, no, it'll be generational in how you probably consume the games, not from a technical perspective. You're never going to see the Sega Saturn to the Dreamcast. You're never going to see the PS1 to the PS2. You're never going to see the Super Nintendo to the N64. I always
Yeah,
think when they say things like that, they're talking about like more
AI
recent.
now.
Yeah, probably some AI, probably some cloud distribution, probably some just some weird stuff, because that's what they're doing. They're trying to carve out their own niche. I think, like you said, in the short term, it'll make money, but in the long term,
They're going to lose their entire business model behind their stores on console and PC, and then they're going to lose money from every single third-party sale because there's going to be no reason to buy a third-party game on Xbox. I don't know.
well, I mean, that's why I think, Steam, I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, the whole Steam thing is confusing too, but at the same time, if Xbox sees itself like exiting having a storefront in general, then they're going to make all their sales on Steam and PlayStation and Switch anyway. So what's it matter at that point? If an Xbox is just a PC, then they're still making games on software. I mean, they're still making money on software sales, which is where the real money's at. But again, you're losing your storefront, which I feel like is also where the real money is at. That they're leaving behind.
James says Xbox is great, value king. That's what we need right now. Yes, but I just wish that the value king still had their own stuff. It's just.
I mean,
Go
Game
ahead.
Pass is huge. It's like the best exclusive, I think, in terms of consoles. And I know that sounds stupid, but Game Pass is without a doubt the best value in video games by far. So I think there's still value there
But
to
don't you
have an
think it's going?
Xbox.
Don't you expect it to go up?
I
Because
mean, yeah, I think it will. Yeah.
eventually, because the thing about Game Pass is Game Pass was birthed during a time frame when Xbox wasn't doing many bigger exclusive titles. And really, I mean, it's been the past year that some of the bigger stuff has started to come out. Now you're going to see Doom. Now you're going to see Call of Duty. Now you're going to see Gears. Now you're going to see Perfect Dark. Now you're going to
Fable.
see Fable. You're going to see this, that, and the other. At some point in time, you would think that they're going to have to increase the price of that in order to keep it sustainable, because as
Well,
the data has shown, it's kind of capped out as far as people signing up for it, at least on the console side of things. It's growing on the PC side of things, but
maybe now that they have a whole new line of income through Switch 2 and PlayStation, they can keep Game Pass the same price for quite a while because they're making most of the money off like actual sales.
but how many units are they going to sell on those other platforms? Will it be worth it?
I mean, in the long term, I think no. I think we both agree on that. In the short term, though, we already see like Sea of Thieves was massive on PlayStation. Forza and Indie are like the top most pre-ordered games for PlayStation right now. So I think in the short term, yeah, they're going to make a lot of money. It's going to be great. But in the long term, Xbox loses its entire hardware like base. Like there's going to be no Xbox hardware in probably 10 years because this is the way they're going. They're basically going the way of Sega. Except they're trying to go the way of Sega and continue to have hardware, but not offering any incentives aside from Game Pass, which, as you said, has already been stagnant for years now. It's not going to grow at this point. Call of Duty, Starfield. What's the next big game that would actually push like people to subscribe to Game Pass? The Elder Scrolls 6. But if Call of Duty couldn't even do it, then it's like, I don't know. They're just going a weird way about all of this, and none of it really makes sense to me.
I don't think there is a massive game anymore, especially if you already own a PS5, because you're thinking, oh, well, I can just, I don't need to buy a $500 system. I guess you can buy the S, but if you want a more comparable experience, I don't need to buy this $500 system. I don't need to buy into Game Pass, because if there's something I really want to play, I could just buy it on my console. And Game Pass is not just an instant money generator, because if it's a game that Xbox did not develop, they're paying for that game.
Yeah, but they have cut back on that a bit. Like even with games like Ninja Gaiden 4, they're like publishing it, so it's still, they're not really paying to put it on Game Pass. They're just eating the cost of putting it on Game Pass in terms of sales. But again, they're going to make those sales back on other platforms.
Yeah, but a game like Adamfall just came out on Game Pass.
It's kind of a smaller game though, like AA.
But it still costs them money.
Oh, for sure.
Are enough people going to sign up for Game Pass because of Adamfall? Like, is that going to tip the scales? No,
they're just they throw in some decent sized games every now and then, but the big ones is all their first party stuff, and they do have a lot of first party stuff. Like this year is pretty crazy in terms of Xbox is actually, and if you count Activision and Bethesda and Xbox, a lot of shit's coming out this year that's dropping on Game Pass.
Colt Eastwood, let's calm down there.
All because I talk shit on Xbox. It's still my preferred platform, and I'm still gonna play it until it dies. Just saying.
Colt put up a list of Xbox exclusive games coming out this year, and I wanted to be like, okay, half of those, because you're assuming.
What else is there aside from South of Midnight that's exclusive this year?
No, what I'm saying is you're assuming that those games are going to come out this year. Xbox doesn't exactly have the greatest track record.
I mean,
when it comes to actually following through on a release window, because a lot of times they don't give a release date; they give a release window.
I mean, we got Avowed, we got South of Midnight, we're getting Doom. I don't think that'll be delayed. We're getting Call of Duty for sure. That's every year. We're getting Tony Hawk, that's not going to get delayed. We're getting Ninja Gaiden 4. I mean, that's not even that far from now, so I doubt that's getting delayed either. That's all first party stuff.
What did you
Ninja
say?
Gaiden being second party.
I took my sleeping pill. Ninja Gaiden second party. What other games did you say?
I said Call of Duty.
They haven't made and they haven't made their money back.
The Outer Worlds 2.
On Activision. Okay, here is the list that Colt did. Avowed. Nobody really played it. I was one of the few.
It was good.
Before we get into that, it's your boy 14, the $4.99 dono. Man's really spit the verse. Mafia. Mafia. Is it too much? Are you ready for this? Here's Colt's lineup. Avowed, South of Midnight, Doom, Dark Ages. So
wait, that's not exclusive though.
These are just the first party.
Oh, first party. Yeah. Okay. Never
mind. Doom and Dark Ages, which you had to pay a bunch of money for. Oblivion remake, you had to pay a bunch of money for. Forza Horizon.
Let's leave out you had to pay a bunch of money for. That's not important to us. Why would we care how much money they pay for a game?
Because
we're getting the game.
We're looking at it from a business perspective.
Okay, I didn't know we were doing that.
Of course we are. That's what this whole conversation is.
I like to view it from a fan perspective. If where you're getting your value at from all these different publishers and console manufacturers. 2
games on this list are going to PS5: Forza Horizon 5 and Indiana Jones. Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remaster, which they've already fucked up. No. Towerborn, that's gonna light the world on fire. Outer Worlds 2, and then we get into the crazy stuff. Gears Trilogy Remaster. I don't even think that's a thing.
I don't think that's capped.
Gears of War E-Day is not coming out this year.
No.
Call of Duty 2025, sure. Ninja Gaiden 4, sure. Age of Mythology and Age of Empire. Like, what are we doing
I mean, it's technically true. That's first party.
But
Or
it's first
published by, at
party
least.
that cost them money. I'm not equating first party stuff to stuff that they are still paying on. At some
Okay, that's ridiculous because they're going to be
why?
paying off Activision for the next fucking 20 years, probably. Like,
At some point in time, you have to start making money. And if these things aren't becoming fruitful off the jump, what makes you think that over time things are going to get better? The console industry was down in 2024. The PC industry was up. And granted,
yeah.
that's obviously because everyone who sucked the dick is, oh yeah, 2024 is a great fucking year, blah blah blah. It's funny how nothing reflects that. Nothing truly. I haven't seen a single thing that shows me how great the year was in terms of health of the industry, game sales, even like reviews and stuff like that. Pickle Rick, the $2 dono. Do you think we'll see Call of Duty on Switch 2 year one? Yes,
Yep.
I
For
do.
sure.
Yeah. But I mean,
Also,
look,
chat, I forgot to say my ring light broke, which is why I'm sitting in a room of darkness right now.
and I'm just not turning on my light because it hurts my eyes. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a very weird position. And yes, I'm sure there's going to be some great stuff at the showcase, some updates, some release dates, but I don't see,
But dude, why do you
out of all
care
the
so much about? Okay,
because
sorry.
because this is my job. I have to look long
Well,
term. I'm not
I'm
pulling a
talking.
Nintendo Prime and wearing
I'm talking from
sunglasses
a
on every stream.
fan of games perspective. Xbox's
I
showcase is
can't
just going
look
to
at
be
it
like
like
a
that
bunch
though.
of great games, probably. Like,
I
so you're
can't look
saying
at it like that.
because they're not going to be exclusive and or they're not financially making Xbox money, they're not exciting to you? Come on.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it loses some of the luster.
That's true, but I've already went through the 5 stages of grief when it comes to Xbox giving up. So it is what it is. Like I said, I'll continue to ride it out till it dies, and once it does, I'll play on something else. But as of right now, 95% of the games on Xbox are, like 95% of the games on PlayStation are on Xbox. And
I remember
yeah.
not long ago when you were upset and you told me I'm upset that I got involved with the Xbox ecosystem
Oh,
at
I
this
still am.
point.
Don't get me wrong. It still hurts.
Mhm.
It still hurts because I really like their vision. Like for the new people, like I was hardcore, mostly played on PlayStation, and then I'd only play the Xbox exclusives. Then I really believed in Phil Spencer's vision when it came to Game Pass and them picking up all these studios. And I was like, this is going to be a really good deal, which that is true. It is a great deal. It's been, I think Game Pass has always been going great. But now that they're sort of giving up on their hardware essentially and going third party, I feel like I got fucking screwed over because I could have stayed on PlayStation where I have like 80 platinum trophies and I just let that all go to die.
This is not a friend. Tyler P says Xbox died when Major Nelson left. We do not like Major Nelson on this channel. At least I don't.
You hate
bitch
him.
ass motherfucker trying to talk some shit to me. Stolen valor motherfucker. All right, here's our next topic here. What the hell is this? What the fuck?
Oh my God.
What are we doing here?
They're
Who is
obsessed,
authorizing
dude.
these things? Who is sitting here saying, you know what? You know what we need? We need to re-release The Last of Us. It's been too long. So now we have a big Xbox game introducing The Last of Us Complete Collector's Edition, featuring a beautiful steelbook case, American Dreams comics number 1 through 4 with new cover art, and a set of 4
Wow.
lithographic art prints. Pre-order
So
exclusively. Let's go
no
to the
new
pre-order.
game content at all.
No. But you get look at this. You get a steelbook, only $110. This is your Oh wait, it's not showing. Hold on, share this tab instead. All right, there we go. Only $110. Releases July 10th. So this is your big Sony game for the summer. You get this. Look, you got Ellie here and then Ellie here, because it's complete. And it's The Last of Us. Here's a look at the comics and the little art prints. And there's another look. And then they show you the games in case you were experience the complete story that inspired the HBO show. Bro.
They mentioned the show in the game description. That's funny.
What's in the box? Physical discs of The Last of Us Part 1 and 2. Left Behind prequel chapter. The cover art. Oh, you get a special thank you letter from Neil Druckmann. Well, holy fuck. I'm sure he hand wrote all of these letters with his own tears and blood. This is the most egregious thing I have seen in a long time.
So to recap, we got The Last of Us on PS3, The Last of Us on PS4, The Last of Us on PS5, The Last of Us 2 on PS4, The Last of Us 2 on PS5, and now The Last of Us Collector's Edition on PS5.
You are correct.
Wow. I mean, the first game, amazing, love it, incredible. One of my favorite games ever.
Solid 8.5.
But still, this is still egregious to me. It's kind of funny though at the same time.
Oh, and the only one right is technically correct.
Yeah,
it's not complete without multiplayer factions, but you get the handwritten letter.
Dude, I cannot believe that they didn't even bring over factions in the PS5 version. Like, Jesus Christ.
Well, I say handwritten, but it's not confirmed to be handwritten. It just says a thank you letter. This is fucking disgusting. Like, I'm going to do a little research here. And
I wonder if it'll have a separate trophy list though, because I've platinumed every version of The Last of Us.
And that's what's wrong with you PlayStation ponies. You're obsessed with fucking trophy lists. So I can get
used to be.
The Last of Us Part 2 remastered for $45 from GameStop. And how much is Part 1? I can get it for $40 on eBay. Still sealed. Oh wait, this one is, why is this one $15? Is it just disc? Oh, it's just a disc case. So I can get it still sealed for $40. And I don't get the handwritten letter. That's not handwritten. Brandon, member of the squad for 32 months. RGT, what is your favorite Ritz song? Hope you're good. All is well here. Just a little tired. Got to do some hold on.
What I
missed? The Last of Us Part 1 is on PlayStation Plus.
Oh,
so you
that's
don't
funny.
need to buy that unless you want that steelbook. I would say White Jesus. White Jesus is my favorite Ritz song. I love that song. I think that song is so good. Yeah, this is disgusting. And it just shows you like PlayStation. This isn't hard. People just want new games.
That doesn't happen anymore. You're lucky to get one major PlayStation first party game a year. And this year's going to be Ghost of Yotai.
But you don't need to do only big games. You don't.
They didn't used to. Do you remember Fat Princess? Do you remember Sly Cooper 4 or 3 when that was a thing?
I'm talking about Astrobot. That Astrobot should have showed you. Because what does Sony care about? Metacritic. Awards. They don't even necessarily care about game sales. And what was game of the year?
Astrobot. Because it was made with tender love and care.
Because it was just a simple, fun platformer that looked good and played good. That's it.
It was awesome.
Better late than never. Zadiah. Better late than never. I don't know. I'm just... I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you. The last time I turned on my PlayStation 5 was Astrobot. I do
dude.
have Silent
Same.
Hill.
It's funny.
I did buy Silent Hill, but I'm waiting to play that with a person. And so knowing their schedule,
Yeah.
it'll be a while. But yeah, so it's just I don't know.
So you're over here talking all this shit about how Xbox is not gonna have exclusives, but you don't even touch your PlayStation. You play everything on Xbox.
Yeah, I do. Because I play my
Okay.
I use my PlayStation for exclusives.
Exclusives, yeah.
Yes, because
But
I'm
one of
not.
them has to be the default third-party console. So, and for you, it's Xbox.
Yes, because I don't like the stupid triggers.
DualSense.
I hate that controller. It's too big. It's
I
too
hate it
big for
too.
my hands. My
It gives
hands
me
are
carpal tunnel.
I have small hands, but I wear a size 13 shoe. Make it make
Mm.
sense. Thanks God.
So big old balls and tiny penis.
No, if anything, it'd be the opposite.
Oh, okay.
All right. And so this Nintendo Switch 2 thing. I mean, have you
Which
ever
part? There's been so much drama.
have you ever just looked at something and been like, you know what, this is an easy layup. You've got it. We got it in the bag. Nothing can go wrong with this. And just decision after decision after decision, some of which a little bit out of your control, most not. Most were not out of your control. And Fairbanks bringing up a great point here, member of the channel for 9 months. Nintendo knows they can charge $80 for games because no one else is making exclusive games. They are the only active circus in town. And we actually did get an explanation because originally it was because of manufacturer or the stores, the MSRP. Oh, the stores are saying it's $80, But then, of course, good old Douglas Bowser, who has been catching a lot of heat, and I'm going to address that in just a second, decided to give an explanation. And I don't remember it word for word, but it was something like, we take a look at the production value, the value for the customer, how big the game is, and that is how we decide our pricing structure. And I'm not a fan of that because in my mind, you're pedestaling your games because now you're saying that Mario Kart World is a bigger and better game than Donkey Kong Bonanza and the fucking tech demo that you're charging $10 for, which they also address that. Tim, we're gonna get into that. Let's calm down with that. They also address that and said, well, it's only $10. It's only $10. Fuck, it's only $10. And it's like, yes, you company that generated or that made after everything, you made profit in your pocket $4 billion last year. Yes, it is only $10. It is only $10. This is
Nobody's
just
gonna buy that game, dude. No one's gonna buy that game.
well, I have to, and I
Well,
see,
you
I
will.
see, I see. Figure drawing already bringing up points that I will address. RGT, you're going to make money. You are making money due to the Switch 2 stuff. Yet you are miffed at $80 Mario Kart. Make that make sense easily. This is my job. My job is to look at things from a perspective, not only from my perspective, but from a perspective of the common consumer. Because I could sit here and say, hey, you know what? $80? Who gives a fuck? I'll buy 12 of them. The $450 for the system, $500 for the bundle. Who cares? This is all tax write-offs for me. I need more tax write-offs. This is good for me. But I realize that my position is very unique in the grand scheme of things because all 250 plus of you, which thank you to all 250 plus, be sure to hit the like button if you haven't yet. All 250 plus of you don't do what I do for a living. Your purchases, your money goes in a different direction. So I have to look at it from that perspective. I have to look at this from the perspective of this is the first $80 regular edition game. And it's coming to us from a company that has always been known for value. Now, when I say that, people say, um, oh, well, their games have always been high, which is such a illogical mindset to take because of the fact that up until the Switch, you always had budget Nintendo games, Player's Choice, Nintendo Selects. Ever since the Super Nintendo to the Wii U, you had some sort of re-release of a game that had a little different cover that was a budget game. But with the Switch and the success of the Switch, they stopped doing that because people kept buying games. That is why I try to warn people with games like Donkey Kong Country Returns. You probably shouldn't buy that for $60, because all you're doing is showing the company what they could kind of get away with. I see you did follow this up by saying, I'm not picking on you, but you have a special job. Props about that. You aren't a normal gamer by any means whatsoever. You got the money is what I'm saying. Yes, but that always hasn't been the case. I've only been doing this for full time for what, 7 years, 6 years, 7 years, something like that.
Sounds right.
There was a time where, my purchases were a lot less and I had to make do with what I did. And in the economy that we're in, and people like to bring up, inflation. If I see one more person bringing up some goddamn inflation stuff, it's like, bro, do you even know what you're talking about? You have to look at wages versus cost of living then, like during the 90s and now, because it's vastly different. It's vastly different. Your money went further. I remember renting nice 3-bedroom houses in nice neighborhoods, like growing up, like, once we moved away, and it was like $800, $900. My dad got a job because the reason we moved to North Carolina, let's pull back the veil a little bit. The reason we moved to North Carolina was because my dad got a job with Kenny Rogers Roasters, and he was making 40 grand a year. And you know what? We weren't rich by any stretch of the imagination, but when a birthday or a Christmas or a really good report card came around, there was a chance of me getting a new system. There was 2 cars in the driveway. Weren't the best cars. I believe my mother had a white Toyota Corolla and my dad had a Ford Taurus maybe. But the economy was completely different then. You could look at your entertainment expenses and it was very different. And that's something that as time has gone on, okay, if you got a job for 40 grand right now, are you able to have, a decent setup? Like, no. So the inflation thing is so crazy to me. And then people go on to the whole, oh, well, there were expensive games back then because the industry was a fraction of the size that it was now. It was a fraction of the size. You sold 100,000 copies of a game. You were fucking jizzing your pants. You were green light sequels. Go, go, go. Action figures, comic books, cartoons. How many copies do you think Earthworm fucking Jim sold? And Earthworm Jim got what? Sequels, comics, cartoon, action figures. Like, bro, it was just a different beast. It's your boy with $1.99. I love my Xbox, but they're going backwards to me. Backwards compatibility.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they were still doing that, especially since they own Activision and they made all those Spider-Man games. License them. Get those back. Come on.
So Kenny Rogers, it's funny because my dad was originally, they poached him from Boston Chicken at the time. and he was a assistant manager at a Boston Chicken, and we were actually living with my grandparents at the time because we were trying to save money. And I remember they offered him like 40K to move. I was like, 40 grand, fuck yeah, we're gonna be rich. And but we had to move to North Carolina, and then like 7 months into the gig, they filed for bankruptcy. The only thing I remember about Kenny Rogers Roasters was the fact that the cornbread had actual corn in it, and I fucking hated that. I hated that. It's just, I know I kind of went on a tirade there, but I mean, that's just factual stuff. It's your boy. We had a 5-bedroom. I mean, I could be way off on the money. I just remember it was cheap. We had a 5-bedroom house. Rent was $400.98. I remember. Thank you for the $1.99. I remember when I was buying a place. When I was house shopping, I asked my mom how much the house that they bought when I was a junior in high school was, because that was a fucking nice ass house, and I was like, I would love something like that. And she told me, and I wanted to throw up. I wanted to vomit all over the place. I was like, fuck y'all. How the fuck was this so goddamn cheap? And it's just, houses have gone up 4 times in price. Has your fucking wages gone up 4 times in price? No.
Nope.
Anyways, I say all that to say we got to talk about Douglas now, because Douglas Bowser has been getting a lot of heat. Douglas Bowser seems to be public enemy number 1 right now. People are crying for Reggie to return. What do you think about this, Brett? What do you
Are you talking about the Don Matrick like quote about the Switch 2? And if you don't have the money to buy a Switch 2, you should play Switch 1. Is that the quote you're talking about?
I just mean in general. That is one of the questions. But just in general, what do you think? Because there seems to be a bit of a tirade coming out against him.
I mean, honestly, I don't really have much of an opinion of him, because I feel like ever since like Reggie left and Iwata passed away, they don't really have like Nintendo personalities anymore like they used to. Like it's like they're way more behind the scenes and like rarely fun like they used to be,
Wrong.
What?
Incorrect. You're half right with this.
Okay.
Half right with this.
Tell me.
I have been preaching this for years, and nobody listens to me. The president of Nintendo of America literally is marketing.
I know, but he doesn't even really do that, is what I'm saying.
But that's what they're doing. This isn't the era of Howard Lincoln or anything like that. Where Howard Lincoln, if anything, I mean, Howard Lincoln would make companies change stuff. So almost like Reggie, because people like to paint Reggie as this saint, as this amazing figure. The Wii U came out under Reggie's tutelage. Reggie Fils-Aimé is the reason why Disaster Day of Crisis never got a US release, although releasing in Europe and in Japan. Reggie Fils-Aimé also had to be pressured into one of Nintendo's biggest series becoming a thing with Xenoblade Chronicles, because they didn't want to do that. The head of Nintendo of America is basically a puppet for Nintendo of Japan. So all of these explanations that he's giving, all of these answers that he's giving are not really his answers. It's coming from Nintendo of Japan. It's coming from Furukawa and their people. Do you think look at the Nintendo Direct for the Switch 2? How many gaijins were on there? None, because Nintendo is a Japanese company. They all do what Japan says. There's a little bit of decision making, and usually if you look at Reggie's, lineup of decisions, some of them weren't so great.
He was still way more likable.
He was just a personality. He came from Pizza Hut.
I know, but I don't know. It was a different age.
That's what you
Sony used to be the
liked.
same way with their personalities. They both pivoted away from that.
But I don't think you necessarily need a personality. I think the games, the console, the
Why do you hate Reggie, Sean? Tell us the truth.
I don't hate Reggie. I just think he's over glamorized as some patron saint when, like, I mean, if you really want to get into the fact of the matter, is you had all those allegations that came out from Nintendo of America employees, and Reggie was like, "Oh, that didn't happen on my watch." But then the receipts came out, and all that did happen under his watch. You also had someone that worked for the Treehouse, which was a Nintendo of America property, which Reggie was president of during the time of Reggie's presidency, who is also a prostitute on the side. So, to say that Reggie is some patron saint, great individual, Reggie's a businessman. Reggie goes where the paycheck goes, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's always been pretty clear that Nintendo that Nintendo of Japan is behind everything. All I was saying was that Nintendo of America used to be more fun, regardless of whatever
But do you
Nintendo
want
of Japan
but
said to do.
does fun matter? Like, do I
I
care?
mean, it's
Like,
it's Nintendo. I
do
think
you
it matters
want
a little.
so would you I don't hate side hustles. I don't hate side hustles. Oh, Tyler, it's that Tyler. That's a that's a weird feeling. Um, my point is that obviously, he came into an era of Iwata, where Iwata and Nintendo of Japan made the Wii. They made the DS. Anyone could have filled that. You could have filled that role and been like, "My name is Brett. I'm here to lick ass and take names. Here's a Nintendo DS. Look at this. This is cool." And then, like, people ate it up. But I don't think you necessarily need to have someone, like that in your camp. If the Nintendo has gone on and been arguably more successful than they've ever been, with Doug Bowser being a hermit and doing whatever the fuck he does. So what I'm saying is, I don't think it's fair to blame Doug Bowser for doing what he's told.
Yeah, again, I don't think that the American president really has much control over anything like you're saying. But
Well,
I still think Doug Bowser just kind of is boring and not fun.
what do you want him to do?
I want him to, I don't know, do some hula hooping or something, some jump rope.
You want the puppets? You remember the puppets that they
Yes, the
did?
puppets. Yeah.
And then they're like, "Here's
Or
Star
the
Fox
fight.
Zero."
Like, remember the crazy fight between Reggie and Iwata? Where it was like
Yeah.
super fast.
Did
That
that
was cool.
what did that do?
It was funny. It was fun. I don't
Did that
know.
help the Wii U sell over 13 million
Crazy. Hey, it's more than the Switch 2. Just so you know. It's killing the Switch 2 right now.
Okay. I've Spyro Jones. I made a Reggie video a couple years ago. I was just, once again, it's always just so weird to me. Like, oh, he was the best. He's the best at what? Selling you a ketchup popsicle when you're wearing white gloves? Like, that was his job. Marketing. Market the Wii. Market the Wii. Oh, the Wii U is the fucking best. Look at this thing. Was it really the best though? No. But that just goes to show you what the business entails for that. This isn't like, Sega of Japan and Sega of America in the 90s where they were fucking hated each other. And that's how you ended up with Sonic CD and Sonic 2. Because Sonic CD was supposed to be Sonic 2, and Sega of America was like, "No, fuck off. That's not what we want Sonic 2 to be. We want Sonic 2 to be this." And that's what ended up happening. And maybe that made for better stuff, a little conflict here and there. I don't think is the end of the world, but
You ready to talk
yeah.
about these free enhancements on Switch 2?
Yeah, I guess. So Brett wants to talk about this.
Mainly because I just feel like this is something that's flying under the radar because Nintendo dropped so much information about the Switch 2,
They
like,
did
during that
such a
Direct,
good job of doing it.
and it was so scattered and weirdly distributed to blogs and random websites. Not a lot of people realize that these games on the screen right now, they get free Switch 2 updates. Like, we don't know the extent. It could just be frame rate, it could just be resolution, it could be both, it could be 4K 60 for most of these games. But hidden in Nintendo's website, it says that these are Switch 2 enhanced games that are going to be completely free. One of which I'm super excited to play, which is Mario Odyssey. I haven't played that since launch. And the second is Echoes of Wisdom because I'm only like halfway through it still. I want to play the rest of it on Switch too.
So I think there in and of itself is part of the issue. They haven't said what these upgrades are. I think if you're clear about what these upgrades are, and I'm not even necessarily saying you have to give it for each specific game, because I'm going to assume that it's going to vary. But if you say up to 4K, up to this, that, or the other, like what does Game Garage Builder need? What does Big Brain Academy Brain versus Brain need?
I mean, yeah, some of them are pretty random, but there's some big hitters in there, you know.
Arms? Do I need arms?
Well,
Like
for the
Bowser's
audio
Fury would be
listeners,
cool.
Sean, why don't you just run through these real quick?
You motherfucker. We got Arms, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, Super Mario Odyssey, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, Clubhouse games, because that definitely needs to be there. Oh, your tip didn't get ignored. I got you. We're just in the middle of a conversation. I'll pull it up and I will read it in just a second. You would never survive a spawn cast. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Game Garage Builder, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and Big Brain Academy Brain versus Brain. Now, T Carbo gave $2 and asked, just joined, when do you think we can pre-order? I am going to say the 17th. That is my guess, because that is just what I think, based on the Mario Kart Direct. Now, good point brought up by Medallion. They charge $10 for upgrade packs for visual improvements. Why are these games free? Can't be much. Once again, you are going into that sort of mixed messaging thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's safe to assume that it's not going to be up to 4K, 120. Well, I mean, it can't be both. It has to be 1080p, 120. But like that brings up a good point. Like,
maybe though, maybe maybe a few of these are actually 4K 60, and they're just not charging for whatever reason.
so, but why aren't they charging? Why would they charge for some and not for all?
I mean, the ones they're charging for, aren't they mostly newer games? I can't remember.
Breath of the Wild, Kirby.
Well, that one's not new at all, but that
The
is
only
kind
one
of,
that's newer is Jamboree, and that's because it's got new content in it.
I feel like Breath of the Wild probably just is because they know people will pay for sure to upgrade that game.
But
These ones, I
you
don't
also
know.
don't have to pay if you have expansion pack.
Yeah, another marketing weird thing.
But
They didn't even say.
You also do have to still purchase the DLC, so it's not really like a complete edition, because can't put that on the cartridge.
But the DLC in Kirby comes in the upgraded version, but not in Breath of the Wild. It's kind of weird.
You can't give too much value, and that's what this all this all boils down to: how much work we put into this, what the value of the game is. So I guess in theory, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a more valuable game than Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, to them, I guess so. I don't know. I feel like they could have.
I mean, we got 3 Mario games on here, pal, and there are no Mario upgrades being charged for. You got Odyssey, 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, and New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe. So technically, you have 2 Wii U games on this list. But, I mean, in theory,
Captain Toad too.
that's not a Mario. It's a Captain Toad.
No, I mean, you said Wii U. It was a Wii U game originally.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was. You're right. That's just yeah. I mean, Kirby is getting DLC, but why is it included and Breath of the Wild's DLC isn't? You bite your fucking tongue, JS. Captain Toad is ass. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker is a true hidden gem. I love that game. I love how annoying just the intro is with the fucking. I love that. It's very annoying. The game looks great, plays great. Yeah.
Black Magic 82, a Mario Wonder upgrade. Is that getting an like a paid upgrade? I can't remember.
They didn't announce it.
What the
Probably.
hell? It seems like there better be more that are getting upgrades. I don't even care if I have to pay. Like if I feel like it's worth it, I'll pay. But
that's the thing, and that kind of brings me back full circle. Is there's been a lot of mixed messaging with the Switch 2, and it just seems like to me, and like I said, some of this obviously, real world situations, tariffs, and all that sort of stuff. But now that we've kind of cleared that out of the way, at least for the next 90 days, Nintendo saying no, is always going to be 450. No, some games are going to be 80, but we'll figure it out as we go along. The digital game card situation. Do you feel like maybe they try to cram too much stuff into one thing, and then it's weird to me how it seems to take longer to correct things when obviously they have a direct line of communication to where they could be like, oh, we're delaying pre-orders. We're delaying pre-orders in the United States, but like you can't answer, more pertinent questions. What do you think about that?
yeah, I mean, I think they jammed way too much in such a small amount of time, and it was like information overload. They should have maybe trickled out some of the smaller things before the Switch 2 was even shown off. Like maybe even announce like the GameCube stuff before even anything, and like the upgrades, the free ones and the paid ones, all that kind of stuff. I mean, honestly, there was some stuff like after the direct that they had like little mini directs. Like I think it's like a 27-minute video all about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of weird. I don't know. But yeah, a disastrous way to get all the information out there. There was even some websites that like had like exclusive information that like didn't come from anywhere else except them getting a quote from Nintendo about something, that they actually
Right.
specified about.
And I also think I'm not a huge fan of people, especially YouTubers, parroting the misinformation thing. Oh, they're doing it on purpose. It's like, no, you dumb motherfuckers. First off, this will get me in trouble. I don't really care. First off, I could go through your YouTube channels and find probably 50 videos that are just misinformation. I don't think anyone is doing this on purpose. Is there a case to be made with like what Insider Gamer did with the $80 and $90 physical? That's
Yeah,
still
that was no, that wasn't
that
cool.
that leaving out key context, knowing that people only read headlines, because really, who's reading the website? That was dirty, but I don't think it was done in a manner to, oh, we've got to besmirch Nintendo. No, I think it's just, more so just sloppy. That's really what it boils down to, is just sloppiness. And then, of course, people ended up running with that. And I was just like,
Dude,
no, I'm not
I
going
don't
to.
know how much you scroll through like Reels or YouTube Shorts or TikToks, but there were
Never.
so many huge channels reacting to the $90 games thing, saying that it was like $90 USD for all Switch games because of that headline.
No, I don't. The only I watch shorts on like dogs and cats being funny. Do you think we'll get a heads up before pre-orders or randomly drop? Ideally, you would get a heads up, but I don't really know. I don't really know.
Medallion, I was gonna say that as well. I saw him. He used that article as his thumbnail. That said $90 games. I didn't watch the video, but just that thumbnail alone.
Oh, that's your
was
boy, Moist Critical.
Yeah, he's cool.
Hey guys, it's Moist Critical here. Today
He's cool, man. Calm
I'm
down.
gonna give a really, safe analysis of something that I know most people will agree with.
Dude, that was actually a very good impression. I'm proud of you.
I've actually never watched any of his videos, like actually watched them, because he's I don't it's not a if I want a safe analysis of something, like I don't want a safe analysis of something. Like I want fucking, I'm not a huge fan of, I don't watch, I'll be honest with you guys,
I don't watch him.
I don't
I've only
watch
seen clips.
Asmongold. I don't watch a lot of big YouTubers, especially if they talk about shit that I'm talking about. I don't watch any of them because I don't fucking care. Like it's what I do. And if you do the same thing as me, like awesome, that's great. I'm happy for you. But like I don't need to hear your opinion on it because it doesn't interest me. But at least the Asmongold guy, he needs a maid or something. Like, please, my brother, get your, like, you have fuck you money. Like, you make fuck you money. You should be living it up, not, evolve a little bit as a person. But at least the Asmon dude would he'll kind of go against things. Like, he doesn't seem to go with the grain as much as some other people did. Yeah, people have been saying that I watch Spawn Wave and copies. Dude, I haven't watched. I can't tell you the last video I watched of John. Like, I can't. I saw, okay, full disclosure. I saw today that he made a video and I didn't watch it, but I was like, I'm making that video tomorrow because I like that topic. And then I went and looked at it myself. But like, no. Like, if anything, no. We just happen to talk about the same things. So it's going to happen. I mean, by that logic, I guess, I steal Wood's videos or Wood steals my videos, or like, when you're in the same sphere, that's what ends up happening with things like that. You end up talking about things that someone else has already talked about. So you getting a Switch too?
Day one.
You piece of shit.
You are too, you son of a bitch. Honestly, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a price increase after the initial wave of consoles. So I think you're safer to get it at launch than in the future because it's never going down in price. Look at the Switch 1. Still the same exact price.
Well, I don't know. I mean, ideally, something will be able to be worked out with this. No, Jimmy Jam. I honestly don't have a price. Jimmy Jam said he doesn't have an issue with the price. The console is okay. When you compare it to something like the Asus ROG Ally or
Steam Deck.
No, I saw somebody said something, Blizmo, I think it was, said if they only just kept the games at $70, nobody would have an issue with this. And you're 100% right. Yes, Asha bringing up an interesting point. Cold Chamber did the soundtrack to the Switch 2 menu music, I heard. However, there is no there is no music in the menu. Bradley, Bradley to remember, Bradley so familiar would have been a great way. Yeah, you yell at Sue. You tell her how the letters are making you feel.
I wish they would have done a Wii Shop like remix for the Switch 2 eShop because that song's still amazing.
Yeah, it is. Nick 93 trying to drive me to harm myself. That Luca game though, Nick's dropped 2 close games. I don't know what the fuck tonight was. And I've heard different things. I've heard different reasonings for what happened tonight. I don't know. I'm ready for the playoffs. Get me out of the regular season. Get me to the playoffs. All right, folks. We are going to wrap this up as we are at the 1 hour mark. Like I said, if you are a channel member, we will be live in a few minutes for a hangout session. I want to give a huge thank you to everyone who came through and donated and the channel members. It's your boy 14, Pickle Rick 13666, Brandon Christian Fairbanks, T Carbo, and Nick. We will be live in just a few minutes, and we will see you guys next week if you are not a channel member. I lost my train of thought. Brett, where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at BrettNLL. And thanks everyone for hanging out. And also shout out to my friend Dylan for tuning in on tonight's show.
Fuck Dylan.
Told him I'd give him a shout out.
Fuck Dylan. That's coming out of your paycheck. All right, folks. We'll see you on the after show.
See you.